Hello and welcome to The Score, an 18-card, 18-minute storytelling game where players are trying to undertake the heist of a lifetime. This brilliant little game was created by 10 Star Games with the goal of putting role-playing games in front of those who may not all be familiar or comfortable with role-playing games that involve a lot of commitment, time, or creativity. Or The Score can simply just act as a weekly icebreaker game or warm-up before getting stuck into your weekly D&D campaign. It's one of those games that can get the creative juices going, allowing for multiple back-to-back playthroughs. The Score taps into that childlike imagination of playing in your backyard as a kid, but with endless possibilities due to the structure of how the cards are played out and where each player takes the game. Will your team be trained professionals or a team of oddballs who somehow manage to complement each other technically, or both? Will you and your team escape with the goods, or will you be caught in the process? Let's find out and go through how to play the game. As mentioned, The Score is a lightning-fast tabletop storytelling card game that simulates the heist film genre. This is also not your traditional role-playing game. Each player assumes the role of a character, but there is no active GM. The flow and the plot of the game is determined by the deck and how the cards are played out and how the players interpret them. Starting off each game, each player receives a character card. There are 12 cards that are dealt to the players evenly as possible between them, so for a 4-player game, each player will receive 3 cards. These are your specializations. They're the things that your character is well known for. You could be a stealthy genius, or you could end up with an expert who is great at traversing but also close combat, so maybe expect a fight on the side of a skyscraper. I don't know. Add these specializations to your character sheet, add a name on your character, and a picture if you want. The cards are then shuffled back into the deck and 2 more cards are then drawn. As a group, the players must decide what they are stealing, which is located at the bottom of the cards, and where they're going to be pulling off the heist, which is located at the top. You add these details to your character sheet too, and then each player introduces themselves and their talents briefly to the table. If you like, take turns explaining how you recruit the next player to your left into the crew. Shuffle all the cards back together and you're almost ready to start playing. Now, just before the game starts, 4 cards are randomly pulled out and put aside. And then the actor cards, numbered 2 to 5, are then put into the deck in numerical order as per the guide rules. Now, we're ready to pull off the impossible and steal the unstealable. The player who most recently saw a heist film goes first and draws the first card. The way The Score is played is each scene and step in the heist is determined by revealing the topmost card of the deck. When the deck runs out, the story is over and the heist is complete. Each time a card is drawn, it goes to the person with that specialization on their character sheet, or if nobody has that specialty, it goes to the player with the least amount of cards. The controlling player then describes the whole scene, based on what the card says and the current act of the story. We start, naturally, in Act 1. Thinking of The Score like a movie, being in the first act, this is the start of your collective story. Everything is going to plan in the first act. The heist is playing out just as you all hoped. So let's just say, in this example, we're trying to get a loved one out of a hospital, and the deep cover card was revealed, and that's one of my character's talents. I might start off the story by saying that I've already started off undercover as a doctor, checking on the patient's records of the person that we're trying to get out. And when no one is looking, I simply sign them out of the administration desk. They jump into the wheelchair, and I start pushing them towards the exit. The next card is drawn and it's a talent that no one has. The player with the least amount of cards, or in this situation, the player to my left, would be controlling the story. The revealed talent is contacts. When the specialization is one that nobody has, and we are still in Act 1, it indicates a quality that we lack or a defense that we cannot overcome, but not one that is directly working against us or countermanding our efforts. It might be a hump in the story that we need to overcome later, or work around with a different solution which could be indicated by future cards. Coming back to the example of the talent being contacts, the player who is now in control has just revealed that a nurse who has been working at that hospital for 15 years notices my signature on the patient's chart. This nurse has never seen this doctor before and knows nearly every doctor in a 50-mile radius. She raises the alarm that something is up. More cards are revealed and the story naturally continues until Act 2, and that is uncovering of a twist card. In Act 2, if a card shows a skill that we have, it's been rendered unable to help us despite our expectations. At this point, the nurses put the hospital in complete lockdown, and my agent has escaped to an elevator with the loved one. The plan was to hack the elevator software, escape via the rooftop, except the hacking card has just been revealed in Act 2. The player with the hacking specialization reveals that they cannot hack elevators, as the hospital is running on an ancient operating system that no one has used since the 80s. If a card comes up in Act 2 that nobody has, then things turn directly against us. The bad guys or the defenses that we are trying to overcome get the upper hand and put us on the back foot. The next card is the technician, which nobody has. The next player reveals that their nemesis, who kidnapped their loved one in the first place, has a technician inside the elevator shaft. Knowing that we're trying to get out via the roof, he cuts some wires and the lift begins to rapidly descend. And then Act 3 eventually comes around and the story goes back to plan. We've been able to account the negative consequences, or perhaps we intended for them to happen. The cards are interpreted as they are in Act 1, and then in Act 4 things go off the rails again, and then in the 5th and final act, things go back to plan. But then finally we come to the last card. If it's a talent that the players have, the player who owns that talent essentially serves the final blow to help secure the goods and pull off the heist. And in this circumstance, they might traverse off the building with the patient into a speedboat that they had previously arranged driving past. And in the circumstance that no one has the card, and it's not a talent that anyone owns, well, then they really have to make a choice to escape with the goods where a character is left behind, either killed or held hostage, or they slip away without the goods. And that can really leave for a sequel in your next playthrough. It's really whatever goes. And that's how you play the score. It's fun, fast, and incredibly flexible game that invites playfulness and freedom to each round you play. To keep up to date with the score and other games from Tinstar Games, all you have to do is go to tinstargames.com or scan here and click the social media platform of your choice. We hope you have fun with the score and look forward to hearing what weird, wild, and wonderful situations you and your agents find yourself in. Good luck out there.